Welcome everyone and welcome back to Data for Decision Making. I'm John and today we're going to be covering a topic very similar to statistical significance, but just in how you apply it, and that is control charts. Have you been part of a weekly business review and you see that your number is down 3% and you have leadership breathing down your neck saying, what did you do? How did you screw this up? Are you going to get fired? How are you going to defend yourself? What exactly did you do? Those are the questions that we're going to answer today with control charts. So what exactly is a control chart? Well, a control chart is basically a threshold on the upper and lower ends that will tell you if the number that you observed is actually significant enough to say that something influenced that number. There's an upper bounds and a lower bounds in a control chart, and any number that falls in between those two bounds is actually just likely to happen on a normal given window. So maybe if your number is down 3%, that's just an expected week over week noise that we see, and you didn't actually influence that number. And you can defend yourself by showing that that number fell within the bounds of the control chart. That being said, on the upper end, it works the same way. Did you increase your week over week numbers by 5%? Does that mean you deserve a raise, that you did a great job and moved that number up 5%? Maybe, but the control charts are going to tell us what the chance of that is. If that fell within the regular upper and lower bounds, unlikely that you actually had an influence over that number. Sure, there's a chance, but it's unlikely in that control charts. So what we're going to do is go through an example that I've put together with some made up numbers to show you what these control charts look like and how to apply them. So let's go to that now.
This quick example here. So first I pulled some raw data. It's just made up data in general, but what I'm looking here is at our call center, we want to see what our daily average wait time is for customers that call in. So all this is showing is that raw data. I went ahead and transformed it into a control chart already. I won't be talking about that in spirit of this channel. If you're interested in doing that, let me know. But for now, I have transformed that data. So here's the average daily wait time. And as I scroll down, I made this chart. So let me spend a little bit of time on what this chart means. The yellow line is the upper threshold of the control chart. The green line is the lower threshold, and the red is the average across all of the points. So the control chart in general is the area between the yellow line and the green line, and with the red line showing the average. The blue line that zigzags throughout, those are the actuals. That's the data up above. The rest are all calculations. Now, as you can see, for the most part, this blue line actually stays within the control chart thresholds, the yellow and the green lines. So that means they're expected values based on historical data. Around day 23 or so, we see this huge spike that goes up to 25 minutes, and that means it's outside the control chart. So that means something influential happened that made this number go outside of the normal realm. As I dig into this number, I realized that we actually had phone calls that went offline, so the technology itself was not working. So customers had to wait while that was being fixed, which boosted the average wait time to 25 minutes. So what is this really telling me here? Well, first of all, we have the normal lines between the yellow and the green, which basically means that's expected values. Nothing was really influenced, nothing changed, everything's to be as expected. And the other line, the one that went above the yellow, there was an actual problem. The phone system went down. So that means I can explain why that happened, and there was an actual material event that led to that. For all of the rest of those, nothing really changed. They're all just sort of expected values. So when it comes to a decision, you can just move on. No need to focus on those. Those are just expected. We don't have to talk about what went wrong, what went well. They're just expected values. However, that one point above the yellow does need an explanation, and we have one. That explanation being that the phone system went offline. So let's wrap this up in a quick summary.
All right, as you can see in that example that we went over, for the most part, a lot of the numbers we were seeing were within the upper and lower bounds of those control charts. So what is that telling us? It's telling us that any movement in these numbers week over week are likely non-material numbers, and they're just expected numbers that we might see on any given week. It means that the probability that these occur just normally is very high. So any number that's gone lower than, that's low but not below the lower threshold is actually not really most likely influenced by any particular reason, stakeholder, or any process change. The same goes for the upper bounds. If we saw an increase but it's within the threshold itself, that means we didn't really influence it for the better either. These are just observed normal ranges within these numbers. Now for that one data point that we saw that was above and beyond, we're able to explain it. So what happened? We saw a higher than normal wait time for phone calls. And why is that? Because the technology was broken and we weren't able to answer telephones. That event significantly moved that number to a point where it was influenced. That influence just happened to be a technology break and not a person, but technology influencing that number. So we can explain it and we should explain it. But all of those other data points, we should forget about them because they're just noise. So next time you are on the hot seat trying to explain why your number is down 2%, simply say these are within the regular realm of expectations within the control chart. And that's all you need to do. It doesn't mean that it's that low. So quick summary of what we learned here today. If your numbers fall within the normal upper and lower thresholds of a control chart, that means that number was very unlikely influenced by you or anyone else. So simply ignore that number. What's the decision that you need to make? The decision is that there's no decision. This number wasn't influenced. If you think it should have been influenced and you see that number within there, you didn't do it. So you need to go back to the drawing board and come up with something else. If that number was lower and it was within the regular control charts, good news. Don't explain it. Move on. Find something else to focus on. So that's the conclusion with control charts. I hope you learned something new here today, and I hope that you can apply this form of statistical significance to historical data, so that way you don't get caught up in the noise of your week over week or month over month data. If you like this content, please like and subscribe to this channel. I'll have more content coming soon of other statistical concepts that people generally don't like, but trying to make it a little bit easier to understand here. If you have any questions about this, please comment below. I'm happy to answer all of the questions. And I'm also happy to take suggestions of other content that you might find interesting on this channel. So with that, I'll sign off here today. Looking forward to the next video. Thanks everyone. See you later.